AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built into. That's why it's no surprise that more than 85% of the Fortune 500 use the ServiceNow AI platform. While other platforms duct tape tools together, ServiceNow seamlessly unifies people, data, workflows, and AI, connecting every corner of your business. And with AI agents working together autonomously, anyone in any department can focus on the work that matters most. Learn how ServiceNow puts AI to work for people at servicenow.com. Hey everyone, welcome to Served. I'm Andy, Techie Sean JW, producer Mike in the house. This is going to be one of those weird ones. This is the one where we have top 10 matches for 2025. JW and I do not know what they are. Producer Mike does. You all listening have dictated these matches to producer Mike, so we are just basically providing commentary on your choices.
Yeah,
maybe a hint of judgment might be sprinkled in. Who knows?
I'm just a messenger, please.
Yeah.
Remember.
We can all still be friends. I might judge you. You can judge me every week if you'd like to. Any other notes?
No. I was just really grateful to all the chuckers, all the followers, all the subscribers, everyone on social media that weighed in, filled out the form multiple times, and helped us whittle this list down from, I think it was something like 2025 all the way down to the top 10. And, I think there's some really good ones on here. I think we'll probably start out with one that you'll be shocked with.
You know what I was shocked about? Just before we get into this list, you know what I was stunned about this week? Something happened this week.
What?
Floored me.
What?
Federer got voted into the Hall of Fame.
No frickin' way.
I know.
Breaking.
I did
Breaking
not
news.
have,
First ballot.
I didn't have it in my prediction markets.
I know.
I had
Only
no idea.
one person voted against, and I'm sure I don't know who it is.
You can't let him be unanimous.
I don't know. No, undeserving. I mean,
yeah. Maybe he'll do something with his life someday.
yeah. Anyways, that'll be.
Bar is high for the speech, right? Hey, let's give Mary Carillo
I was
props
just
too.
going there.
I feel like she's going to get she's definitely going to be the a little bit of a B-side. I think she knows that, but good for Mary.
That was I joke. The two people I voted for Mary Carillo. Also, I've obviously voted for Roger. Mary Carillo is one of my favorites though. Like she's so good at her job and never really makes a mistake and is so good. And I sent her a message and I just basically said, I look forward to celebrating you. She says, I like the podcast. I said, we'd love to have you on anytime. And then Mary Carillo goes, fuck yes. I love how she kind of like, obviously she's so professional on air and has been the voice of so many matches that when she just throws out the F-bomb with enthusiasm, I appreciate it that much more. It's like, you know what it is? It's a little bit like, you remember, like, have you ever watched Bob Saget or Rest in Peace? You ever watched his stand-up specials?
Oh, yeah.
Where he went from
Filthy.
Danny Tanner to like just a filth pot?
Just filthy.
Yeah. Mary Carillo is not filthy, but just because she is so
No,
good at
she's a little filthy.
just because she's so good at her job, fuck yes. So hopefully we can make that happen. I think that would be fun for us anyways. All right, without further ado, let's get to the top 10 matches of 2025 as decided by the Chuckers.
So before we get into it, I want to give you guys a few honorable mentions because it was pretty tight here for number 10. We had Paolini Gauff sitting on the outside. We had Draper Alcaraz from the Indian Wells semifinals sitting on the outside. And we had Mboko Osaka
that was
the Canadian Open final at number 11.
Good.
Number 11.
Yeah, so it didn't make the cut into the top 10.
Okay, because I came into this, I got to be honest, I came into this thinking like, obviously over the course of a year, there are great matches, right? And also, there weren't a ton of like early slam, third round, like the drama factor might have been a touch low, but I feel better if Mboko and Osaka did not make the list.
That was a final too.
Could be wrong,
right?
And it was like in your home country. I mean, that was a big match.
That's a big match.
If that's an honorable mention, I look forward to the list.
All right.
Before we get to number 10, do we want to like do an overview of what? Like, do we give people any guidelines or any kind of?
This is dealer's choice?
Yeah, this was dealer's choice. People they chose from a list, or there was a write-in option. So and then we triangulated the write-in options and then put those out on the list, and then we did like a final list for everyone to vote on.
That's right. We can triangulate.
Yeah.
JW, I got a question for you. Just generally speaking, and let's hit this off the top, because we all value best matches differently. It's completely subjective. You could just be voting for your favorite, the best match your favorite player played, right? Like, who knows? How do you break down best matches just generally, JW? And obviously there's allowances here, but like generally, how do you value it?
I say this not knowing what I think context matters a lot. You can have an amazing, flawlessly played match, but if it's on a Tuesday night in Youngstown, Ohio, between someone ranked 78 and someone ranked 86, probably doesn't qualify. I mean, I think you need to have a certain threshold level of stakes, don't you think?
Yeah, tree falling
like
in the woods.
Quarterfinal on. I think outcome in doubt. I mean, I'm sure there's some brilliant performances where one player had flawless tennis, but I'm not sure it's a great match if it's one-way traffic. And I think, I think stakes matter. That could be personal stakes, that could be a rivalry, that could be a Wimbledon final. But yeah, I mean, a Wimbledon final that goes 5 sets is probably going to make the list, and a brilliant second round match in Charleston that's 6-7, 7-6, 7-6 probably doesn't. I don't know. What do you say?
6-7.
6-7. 6-7. 6-7.
10-year-old.
I hate us.
Hank.
Oh.
6-7.
I literally saw a kid walking. This is a and I'm going to tell you what I think about the best matches. I saw a kid, it was like 3, just randomly running around a restaurant the other day for an hour. And the only words that he could say was, 7. Like, this has gone too far. Here's what I think. I think I keep finding myself like, there is such thing as a very dramatic match with a good story that is close, where I watch it and go, the level of tennis was pretty bad. Like the number one of all time, like where drama, and obviously there's nerves and it's a weird situation and no one was there. But Thiem and Zverev in the finals of the U.S. Open that one year was couldn't have had more drama. But it was, I mean, neither one of them played their best match they've ever played. They're great, great players. And also, like, they were kind of like falling to the finish a little bit. So it's like in my mind, and I don't know what's on the list, so if I'm bearing one, but like, I don't know. I'm going there and I'm Iga goes out and completely turns a Grand Slam final upside down in the first 20 minutes of the match. I'm going, that's a dominant performance. Not one of the best matches, but like, I would like to have a best matches list and a best performances list. Because performances list would oftentimes be different. I'm going, man, if I'm a coach and I'm coaching that player, that's one of the 3 best matches of the year.
That's cool.
Right? Like, I executed, everything was fine. Like, I understand we like drama, but without going into this list, a lot of times when I see these best ofs, it's basically, when was I the most entertained? And that's not always how I value it. So let's get going.
All right, well then, with all that said, Jon was a bit of a Nostradamus. Number 10, we have Iga Swiatek putting on an absolute masterclass on center court, dismantling Belinda Bencic 6-2, 6-0 in just 71 minutes. The Polish star was completely on fire.
What?
Just invalidating everything we've said for the last
winning 83% of the first serve points and 90% of the returns en route to her first Wimbledon final. A performance.
No, seriously, what's number 10?
This is it.
No,
A performance
seriously.
so dominant that Bencic admitted she had no answers. I think nobody wrote in criteria, but they're saying this is one of the best matches of the year, and maybe it is because she just completely dominated with ridiculous stats.
Half of our audience just left.
Well, luckily it's number 10.
Oh my goodness!
So this had more votes than the
Mboko,
we just referenced
Osaka?
the Mboko Osaka final.
According to our steadfast team of one person.
All right. Does Iga's mom know that we only like 1 vote per entry?
Yeah. Like, is there? Okay, so
all 9 of our Polish listeners.
So I'm
voted on
assuming that if a semifinal can do that, a final will do that as well, right? Because it'd be crazy to have a semifinal dominant performance on there.
Yeah.
And then for the exact same reasons, not have a Wimbledon final that was 0-0.
I just work here, man.
Same, bro. All right, let's see you triangulate a better match for number 9.
Yeah, let's go on to number 9. The ultimate revenge performance came 53 days after the ultimate humiliation. Amanda Anisimova avenged her 6-0, 6-0 Wimbledon final loss by stunning Iga 6-4, 6-3, proving that yesterday's disaster can fuel tomorrow's greatest triumph.
I'll tell you what I didn't expect. I didn't expect the first two matches of the best of list for the losers of the matches to have won a total of 9 games. Everything I just said about the drama overtaking the performances, apparently I was wrong on. This is great. And it also gets to the point which we should have said off the top. If there's a good story behind it, right? I'm sure we're going to have some match from a guy who was 200 plus in the world and had some dramatic wins somewhere along the way. But yeah, this is, for as much respect as you have for Iga for dropping an 0-0 at Wimbledon, you also are a psychopath if you don't have empathy for Anisimova in that moment. So to then fast forward and to have Anisimova kind of turn that scar tissue into a victory over, arguably the best player of her generation, along with Sabalenka. Yeah, I get that. There was an emotional investment from a lot of tennis fandom in this match, and Amanda Anisimova played great. Remember, we forget that Iga Swiatek wins Wimbledon, plays great in Cincinnati, wins it, is going into the Open, I don't know, if she's not the favorite over Sabalenka, she's maybe next in line, JW?
I think you're right. I think everyone that watched that Wimbledon final knew Iga's really good. She had her Wimbledon breakthrough. Congrats to her. Anisimova, that did not reflect her game, how good she is, and to come at the very next major and exact revenge. And remember, Anisimova backed that up as well. But this is one of these matches. I'm not sure this goes down as one of the classic, let's preserve it in amber tennis matches. But I think context matters. And for a player playing at her home slam, who the previous encounter was at the Wimbledon finals, and you lost by the worst tennis score you could put up, to then come and completely not just win that match, but win an additional match in the semifinals. Good for Amanda Anisimova. Good for her. And I think that's, again, this is a context match and not a classic tennis match, but I could see why this would be in our top 10.
All right.
First one mystifies.
Let's just level set here, though, because we don't know the list. We don't know what's coming. But the first two matches...
Are you sensing a trend?
No, well, okay, let's break it down, right? The first one is okay, maybe there's a Bencic, hell of a run at Wimbledon. One of the stories of the year, going from, having a kid, coming back, playing great. So maybe we're suckers for an underdog. Maybe there's a run. We want to include Bencic in the situation. Anisimova turns it. Congrats, listeners. I was wrong. Your empathy is shining through.
Well, that empathy is going to continue because at number 8, we have Cousins and former Texas A&M teammates squaring off in a fairy tale final with Vachereau, ranked 204, entering as a qualifying alternate, defeating his cousin, Rinder Kanesh, 4-6, 6-3, 6-3. The triumph made Vachereau the lowest-ranked ATP Masters 1000 champion in history and the first player from Monaco ever to win an ATP title.
JW?
Story of the year. I love this story. Remember we were at Laver Cup? Boy, that wasn't so long ago, was it? We had a good time. We did some shows. That week, Vachereau was playing in Saint-Tropez and losing to a player outside the top 300. This was a guy who wasn't eligible for the U.S. Open qualifying draw. Goes to Asia, probably at great personal expense, great financial expense. Remember, he had to qualify. He lost his first set of qualifying. I think it was looked at to Basabaretti from Indiana via Stanford. So Vachereau loses the first set of qualifying at this tournament and then absolutely catches a gear. He beats Holger Rune. He beats Novak. And then he gets to the final. We have this crazy story. And who is on the other side of the net? Only his first cousin and former college teammate. And not only did Vachereau win to complete the Cinderella story, it was a really good match. And Vachereau, and they rematched a month later in Paris. But no, this is one of my favorite tennis stories of the year. Just a great sort of parable about persistence. The fact that he would win this event out of nowhere, and the guy he had to beat in the final is his first cousin on the other side of the world. This is like tennis at its best. This is one of my favorite. Never mind the 8th best match, and I certainly see why this got votes. It was a 3-set. I don't have the score in front of me. 3-set or 2, right? It was a pretty competitive match.
If memory serves.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, this was going to be on the list, right? This would have been malpractice if this wasn't on the list. I don't know. and I want to spend some time on Vachereau too, because I think there's a couple of parts of this that are super impressive that haven't been talked about enough, right? So just the happenstance of Rinderknech making a final of a Masters 1000, having his own breakout year, and then playing his cousin who's 204, them literally doing it the same day. Do you remember when during the Andre episode when he was talking about Andre Medvedev, and it's like they're in each other's corner, they're like cheering each other on, and then it's like, oh, then the quarters comes and you start kind of thinking, well, no, there's no way. After the last month of support that we've given each other, semis comes. Now, I mean, it's not going to be Novak, right? And then, like, I don't know if maybe they will, and I hope they do. There's a not nothing chance that these guys don't make a Masters 1000 final again, right? I hope I'm wrong. They're seemingly great dudes, great story. But just like you can't beat sports. You cannot beat the storylines that are created with sports, just the random nature of what happens, the momentum of you win, I win. Oh, that's funny. High five. All those little kind of momentum moments, I think, matter. Two things that need to be said about Vachereau, not just the 204 and how crazy it was. I think we all have a general understanding of that. The amount of time that he put in that week, the field that he went through. Do we remember that Jannik had to retire because of cramps? The first 3 days or 4 days of that tournament, of the main draw, all you heard of was how extreme the conditions were. Like, people, it was so hot. This guy, and this is a lesson for young players, for parents, for anyone that has anything to do with tennis. Had he not been ready, physically in shape, he would not have had this moment. So the tennis is one thing. Preparation meets opportunity. You better be prepared when the opportunity presents itself. That has not been talked about enough, right? Going through qualifying, it was 1,000,000 degrees in Shanghai. The fact that this guy had taken his lumps, and JW mentioned he lost to a guy outside the 300. I think he lost to someone outside of the top 800 in the previous 3 months before he did this. To keep the motivation and be professional and keep yourself in shape enough to rip off 10 days or 14 days of tennis at the highest level is an undersold part of this story.
Wait, and I'll keep going with that, which is you lead this life when you're really sort of trolling for points and going all over the world, and you need durability, you need to deal with conditions, but you also have to back it up. So Vachereau wins this. I mean, if this is me, if this is most of us, and you win $1 million and you're suddenly in the big time, you're halfway down a bottle of Maker's Mark on the flight home. This guy goes to Basel, plays Taylor Fritz in the first round, and gives him a really, I think it was like 7-5 in the third, gives him a really good match. Then he goes to Paris, beats his cousin again, and wins more points, finally loses to Felix. And suddenly, so not only is he like doing cartwheels, I mean, he's not doing cartwheels, he's going and backing this up. And now, listen to this, he's going to be seated in Australia. This is a guy who at the previous major was not eligible to qualify. And now he's not going to play a player ranked higher than him to the third round. I mean, this is kind of the best of tennis. And we all want to be Carlos, and we all want to be Jannik, and we all want to be Sabalenka. For a lot of players, this is the guy to emulate. This is the inspiration. Yeah,
and that was, you hit it on the head, JW. That was the second point I was going to get to, is actually maintaining momentum. Like, there's no chance this guy Vachereau did not want the season to end. By the way, the last thing he wanted was a 6-week speed bump. Like, he didn't want that. But
season's too short.
Like, massive
lengthen
props.
the season.
He's going to do a couple of things. He's going to give hope to a lot of people who are 200 in the world. A lot of people are going to play a year longer than they probably should. Also, like, this is like George Clooney making it at 47 years old for the first time. Like, this is one of those, like, this is a massive, massive story. But yeah, I mean, listen, you couldn't write this. If you would have written it, if I would have gotten a script a month before it happens, like, I wrote this great ending. It's the two cousins playing the final. One's 200. I'm like, that's not that's so far.
Yeah, like, was this Challengers 2?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
But to your point, JW, like, we can say it was a surprise. We can say all this. He backed it up. So did Rinderknech, by the way. Like, he's played great. He beats Zverev at Wimbledon. Like, we forget about a lot of his accomplishments this year. Both of them, I think, fully understood the interest, fully understood the moment, were class acts all the way through. Rinderknech had to be, if you tell him that he makes a Masters 1000 final, loses to a guy outside the top 200 in that opportunity, that's tough. right? I understand it's a big jump, but also that's tough. He was a class act throughout the way. I cannot wait to see what happens with Vachereau next year. Like, you get out of that momentum build, and then you show up, and there's like maybe expectations for the first time in your career. I'm cheering for him. I thought it was a great thing, and I admired how prepared he was to actually execute on that moment. Well done.
Yeah, the crazy thing is they had never faced each other before, and then they faced each other again like 2 weeks later. And so Vachereau is actually 2-0 against his cousin, so maybe we'll see some redemption next year.
I've never lost to my cousin either. Big deal.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, let's get on to number 7 after we get back from this break.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, welcome back to Served. Thank you for your submissions for the top 10 matches of 2025. What do we got next, Mike?
Up next at number 7, an Australian Open semifinal. American Power meets Polish Precision in a 3-set thriller that launched Keys' title run. Madison Keys stunned second seed Iga, winning a nerve-wracking deciding tiebreak 10-8 to reach the AO finals.
So obviously that means there's another one of these matches on this list, because I think these were probably two of the best matches of the year on the WT Tour. And I won't say the next one. We all know who Maddie beat in the final. I'm sure that's coming up, so we'll focus on this. But as far as consuming theater, JW, and someone who I think has been to the late stages, and we had Madison on. If you haven't listened to that interview that we had post Australian Open this year, go listen to it. Talk about being honest and self-aware. 12 out of 10 for her for that. But also erasing the question marks, leaning into the question marks, not only getting over it mentally, but you have to be pretty good physically to beat Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka back-to-back. Iga played well. I'm just telling you, like, there were some matches throughout the year. The first, we kind of forget about the first 6 months now, post-Wimbledon title, but there were some struggling parts. Her losing to Coco in Madrid was like shocking, right? You're going, what? And not just because, obviously Coco won the French Open, but the scoreline was so lopsided. This was everything you wanted. It was a storyline you were cheering for. Maddie, one of the most liked players on either tour, going up against one of the greats. Can she finally do it? The electricity. And then the tennis actually matched it, right? They both played great. This is a no-brainer for this list in my mind. Biases, I understand my bias. I think Iga's great. I think Maddie's great. So I probably enjoy it more as a fan. This was a great match.
Yeah. And I think I'm glad you hit on that, because this is one of these things where, yes, the context means a lot. And here's Maddie. I think she was like, maybe in the top 20 to start the event, 19 maybe. So this is not a player who people had going to the latter rounds of this tournament. She's towards the end of her career. We all know about the power, we all know about the athleticism, but she's had trouble in her career closing. She knows that. She of course is sort of team nice, and now she is locked in this battle against the younger, more accomplished player, and she just did not retreat. And I think you're right. I remember this match being actually probably qualitatively the better of the two wins for her. But in some ways, you could make the case at the time this was the biggest match of her career. Yes, she was in a U.S. Open final, but that was sort of an awkward affair almost a decade earlier. At this stage in her career, I would make the case this was the biggest match of her career, and she absolutely stepped up. And it was a third set tiebreak, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, JW, to your point, I felt way more nervous when I didn't know how many chances I had left at slams. Right, I would feel the weight of what if, can I get there? Like the anxiety kind of consumed me more than the first slam you play, or the second one, or a semifinal, or a quarterfinal, early on in your career. So I think for sure, if you get the opportunity and you have, a fair amount of years of potential scar tissue, and having to listen to your own narrative, and, agreeing with maybe certain parts of it, knowing you have to overcome it. Yeah, absolutely. You're squeezing a little bit tighter. There's no doubt. I mean, we talked about it with Zverev last week's show. Like, there absolutely is an element of that. And to kind of, you can't push it to the side because that's not realistic, but to deal with it in real time and still be able to push the chips forward. This was a great match. Not just a great story, like the Shanghai, but a great match for every reason.
On to number 6, the Wimbledon final between Iga and Amanda Anisimova. Iga delivered the most ruthless performance in modern Grand Slam history, 6-0, 6-0, double bagel in just 57 minutes. The dominance gave Iga her first Wimbledon title and 6 major title and 6 finals appearances, and also introduced the world to strawberries and pasta as a superfood.
Gross. Not the match. The strawberries and pasta. Hey, listen.
Yeah, the match was pretty gross too.
I didn't think you were. I didn't think the Chuckers were going to go this direction. Right? They are valuing performances.
Yeah.
Right. You go and smother someone 0-0 in a Grand Slam final, especially in the Slam that everyone on earth rightfully agrees that is your least likely to win. Right? Like Iga Swiatek was not supposed to win Wimbledon. She didn't play her best during the clay court season. She was not the dominant force on her best surface, so obviously that means she's going to go onto her worst surface and be dominant, right? Right? Bueller? Anyone? Great performance. I'm happy we are valuing performances, even if it's at the expense of 2.5 hours of entertainment value. JW, too high?
Yeah, I'm, God bless you. We all stand in great admiration of Iga, what she's done, big picture, what she did at Wimbledon, as you say, coming back from this sort of very strange, this was not a great year for her. She did not defend in Roland Garros. Then she goes to this tournament where she's had the least success. It seems almost kind of as though she's psyched herself out by the surface, and she absolutely conquers it. Great story. As matches go, this was a rough watch, and Iga was great. I mean, she lost 2 games in the last 2 rounds of Wimbledon. Like, hats off. But it was so obvious, even to the casual fan, how paralyzingly nervous Anisimova was. I'm baffled that this makes its way on. Great achievement. God bless Iga. How in the world is this a best match? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't disagree with your points. I will say, when you are nervous going out for a Grand Slam final, and then from the word go, someone has a game plan and the ability to execute it immediately, guess what that does to your nerves? Doesn't make them better. You feel lost. And you saw about 5, 6, 7, 8 games in, you could see the narrative shift to like, oh, I don't know if I'm actually still in this match, but please let me squeeze a game. Like, also, honorable mention, you said most dominant, in Grand Slam history, all that. Steffi Graf, 1988, Natasha Zvereva also won 0-0 in a Grand Slam final. Probably also not one of the best top 10 matches of that year.
Let's move on to number 5. The Ageless Wonder battled the Wonder Kid for 3 hours and 37 minutes of Melbourne heat.
Good.
After dropping the first set and tweaking his hip, 37-year-old Novak Djokovic rallied to defeat Carlos Alcaraz 4-6, 6-4, 6-3, 6-4, earning his record 12th Australian Open semifinal appearance.
Yeah, this one, I was driving over here, and I was hoping this would make the list, and if it didn't, this was going to be a tangent for me. The aging boxer getting into the ring and finding a way to take the uppercut out of Tyson, I think is this should have been one of the best matches of the year, right? And it was, people will say, well, Carlos didn't play that well. Yeah, there's a reason for that. His name's Novak, right? Came out. Can he still do it? I don't know if he can still do it for 7 matches. I don't think any of us do. Maybe he doesn't. It wouldn't stun me, right? It wouldn't be Vachereau in Shanghai. But to kind of walk into the arena where you've built a massive part of your legacy, and take out the new kid on the block who's you've played in Grand Slam finals and Wimbledon finals, and to dismantle him technically, physically, emotionally. The most drama? Probably not. But one of the peak performances in like kind of shutting down naysayers and kind of pointing to your GOAT trophy and all that. Like this was one of my best 10 matches of the year, for sure.
There was a lot of buzz at this tournament, I remember, about, is this the sheet cake and the gold watch? Is this it? And Novak had that 2024, he won the gold medal, amazing. That was sort of the last possible element of his resume.
He completed tennis that day, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
That's well put. And then remember, he sort of, he kind of disappointed at the Open. He was the defending champion. He went out early, I believe, to Popperin. And there was sort of this question of, you know what, like eventually even the great ones have to step away. And is this going to be it for Novak? I don't know if there had been some tip-off or if this was just bad gossip, but there was a real sense if he loses this match to Carlos Alcaraz, it's very possible he takes the mic and says, thanks, God. It's been a great career, guys. I can't think of a better place to call an end to it. He loses the first set and then just goes into Novak gear. And this is a rematch of the previous Wimbledon final. It's a rematch of the goal. I mean, we're talking about context and weight and history and heft. And here he is in the quarterfinals of this event that he has owned for the better part of the last 15 years. And he takes down the mighty Carlos Alcaraz, 15 years his junior. This would end up being really the signature win of Djokovic's season. But in the old guys still got it department, this was just a takedown.
There's a couple of things here that we just need to, again, we talk about this a lot on this show, but I think we need to continue talking about it. We tend to in sports to take greatness for granted, right? Like, okay, look at last week. LeBron comes back after not having played for a month, and then he didn't play, and then has 12 assists that night. Like, that's absurd. At his 23rd NBA season, coming out knowing how to be the best version of himself. Is he the same guy that he was 20 years ago? Does he have the same athleticism? Does he have the same toolbox? No. I had 12 assists and contributed 11 points in my first run around of the year. Absurd. That's what we are seeing with Novak. 4 semifinals of Grand Slams. A year. Remember what a big deal we made about, and rightfully so, about Connor's run in 91 to the semis, to one semifinal. My favorite tournament of my entire life was that run. Novak did it. He's a year younger, year and a half, year and change younger, and did it 4 times this year, beating Alcaraz in this match. Like, we just need to not take it for granted and not like you watch it. It's like, well, he's not moving as well. Yeah, no shit. He's almost 40. Like, obviously, right? Like, it's just amazing. I was gonna throw a fit if this wasn't on the list.
Did you just two digressions real quick, and then we'll move on. One of them, Martina has this great quote. Martina Navratilova has this great quote of when you get older, that the first thing to go is the consistency. Okay, I buy that, but you know what that means? That means you still have some ups. Like inconsistent is mercurial, right? I mean, it still means you get some good moments, and this was one for Novak. You know, you can live with inconsistency if the good parts mean beating the number 1 player in the world. I don't know if you heard his interview with Piers Morgan. I recommend everyone. You know, I mean, this is not a tennis fan. I mean, I think you and I were probably may have been some missed opportunities to follow up and that kind of thing. But boy, Novak, there is no athlete who's done more, I would say, A, for sports psychology, and B, for just kind of general self-reflection. He's just become this joy to listen to. And listen to that interview, and it sort of tells you a lot about to what we were talking about, where the mindset is when you still, on some days, you've still got it. Some days you look like a 38-year-old man and you're losing matches you shouldn't be. You know, you're losing to Vachereau in China, and other days you're making major semifinals. And that day, that night in Australia was one of the good days.
Yeah, I think something else we need to think about, because obviously we're end of the season, finally, and then going into 2026. A year ago, there were question marks. He loses the next round to Zverev because he gets hurt. I don't think it's a stretch to say the physical toll of 3 out of best of 5 Grand Slams. And this is, save your comments, because this is what he's saying after the US Open. Like, I don't know if I can go the distance, 7 3 out of 5 set matches. That toll is big. That's a big ask, especially, you know, you take out Alcaraz and what's your reward? You have the guy who's 3 in the world, and then you got to play center. Right, that is a brutal ask physically when you're close to 40. It just is something to watch going into 2026. The consistency for semifinals is there, but that's not the consistency of finals and winning that it was before that. But like a superhuman effort year. I know Zverev is ranked 3. I went off last week on people, questioning if he's a good tennis player. No, that's so stupid. But I also don't think it's controversial to say by a pretty clear margin, and not based on volume, Novak was the 3rd best player in the year this year.
At number 4, America's Golden Girl conquered Roland Garros in a battle of the world's top 2. Coco Gauff rallied from a set down to defeat Aryna Sabalenka, becoming the first American woman to win the French Open since Serena Williams.
That was a fun one. Yeah, I know this was a bit of a wacky match. Coco had been to a Roland Garros final before, so I don't think this was, in no way was this an upset. It was a strange match. It was a rematch, ironically, and actually played out quite similarly to the U.S. Open Coco won. Unfortunately, this match is probably best remembered for Sabalenka's sort of post-match, and she's walked it back and apologized. We should all move on. It's a great win. I mean, ironically enough, it probably got Coco into the Hall of Fame. I don't think anyone was thinking about this while the ball was in play. Coco loses the first set and kind of takes, I'm trying to remember. I mean, I watched that match from inside the stadium, and I don't remember a great turning point. I can't even remember a great point. I just, Sabalenka kind of lifted her foot off the gas pedal, and Coco seized it. And I remember Corey Gauff wearing an exotic animal shirt to represent his daughter's fighting prowess, watching the match from a back room because he couldn't be there live. But Coco took her second major, and it was a strange day, a great win for her, a comeback win, a disappointment for Sabalenka. Happily, this would not, I think with a lot of these matches, it's kind of nice. Anisimova was not absolutely gutted and put out a play by the Wimbledon final, right? I mean, Rinderknecht got back on his feet. So one nice thing about all these matches is Alcaraz recovered just fine from that Australian Open defeat. He won the next major. And similarly, it was nice that Sabalenka had this tremendous disappointment, and then sort of the embarrassment that came after it, and Stephen A. Smith's weighing in.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't want to have anything happen in the world in any sphere that didn't have a comment attached.
I'll tell you what I'm always waiting for is Stephen A. Smith's opinions on tennis matches.
The ombudsman of the world. Nothing from interest rates to Coco Gauff to the NBA trade deadline. Nothing is allowed to happen on Earth without a weigh-in and a hot take. But anyway, but point being, Sabalenka, it was nice that she recovered and won a major a few months later. It was I just remember kind of thinking, like, great for Coco. What a strange day for tennis.
Conditions matter, right? You rarely see the greatest matches of all time when the wind is blustery and is going between 15 miles an hour and 35 miles an hour, right? And you're chasing it, you don't know what it. So I will say this, and it's like a testament to Coco Gauff, and we've covered the serving situation, we've covered the forehand situation. To be dealing with 2 shots like that, and then to take a kind of gross day and somehow being able to manipulate this match into a street fight, a battle of wills, where it's not just Sabalenka's dominance on both sides. And she's done it in both of the Slam finals that she's won, right? She is a 2-time major champion who makes the semis of most events that she enters. And there is still so much upside with her game. We always view it as a negative. It is amazing that what her base offering, even while trying to negotiate around certain parts of her game that aren't working, twice she's won Grand Slams and beaten Sabalenka in the final. Like, there is a skill to making a match gross, ugly, however you want to define it. And there's a certain beauty in its ugliness if you're a true sports fan, right? We would celebrate the Pistons in the early 90s, right? We would celebrate a lot of... There's no reason why we shouldn't celebrate Coco Gauff the same way. She is so good at manipulating the energy of a match. And also, like, we all know what we're good at. We all know what we're not good at. Is there anyone better at avoiding what they're not good at, JW?
Good way to look at it.
That's a skill.
Yeah.
That is that's an absolute skill.
Yeah. Right. And it's strategic. It's setting up points that way, but it's all, I love the word manipulation, because that's really what it is. You have to do a lot of engineering. You have to do a lot of sort of outwitting of both yourself and the opponent to win major titles and overcome what everyone know, this is not a secret in tennis. And she still has 2 majors, and again, got into the Hall of Fame that Saturday in Paris.
Do you know? Okay, so it's really easy to look at a matchup, and we'll go to number 3 after this. But it's really easy to look at a matchup, and you're going into that matchup, and we all check weather, we all check conditions, we all check heat, we all know all of the factors going into matches. Going in against the number 1 player in the world, who's been on a heater, has not lost before the finals since Indian Wells or in Miami, whatever it was, early in the season, on an absolute heater, and saying, okay, my best chance to win this is to bring this match into the gutter, right? We need if we're both playing perfect tennis, I probably don't win this match against Aryna Sabalenka. Eyes wide open. To be able to actually do that against the number 1 player on earth is borderline impossible. And then to deliver on one of the biggest stages, unbelievable. Like, listen, it wasn't the prettiest match of all time, but there are so many great lessons for like a champion's mindset that were exhibited that day. I respect this being on the list, even if it wasn't one that you want to go rewatch on YouTube.
Next up, a 29-year-old American finally breaks through by defeating both the world number 2 and world number 1 in consecutive matches. Maddie Key stuns Sabalenka 6-3, 2-6, 7-5, ending her 20-match Melbourne Park winning streak on her way to claiming her first Grand Slam crown. Yeah,
no brainer. Like this is 3. We'll see it. I mean, we know what number 1 is. Obviously, I don't want to bury the lead here, but this wouldn't have angered me at number 2, and I suspect I know what that one is too. But this was one of the best matches of the year. There's like a match a year, maybe 2, where you don't really have a dog in the fight, right? Like you're not really attached to it, and then someone's victory causes emotion for you, right? I remember watching Novak win the Olympic gold medal, and I was like overcome. I had goosebumps. I was it was like respect. Like it was overwhelming. Like the respect and watching and knowing how hard it is. This one broke me in the most beautiful way possible. I was so happy for Maddie. Obviously, at that point you think, okay, Sabalenka probably wins the next one, and she had to work for hers, to win it at the U.S. Open. But again, meeting the moment, overcoming it. I don't know where her career goes from here, but the what if game is going to be a lot less for Maddie moving forward, on the heels of beating Swiatek, beating Sabalenka. Amazing. Hey, this was one of the best matches of the year, no doubt.
So you were what? You were 20 or 21? I could do the math in my head if I were so lazy. You're 21 when you
I turned 21 during the tournament.
During the tournament.
Yep.
Right. So you're 21, this is the biggest match of your career, and if you win this match, if you beat Juan Carlos Ferrero, everything's going to change and people are going to talk about you as a major champion. Now imagine going through that a few days from turning 30. All right, you got to the final, you played a great semi, and here you go, 2 out of 3 sets to completely change the way you are perceived in this line of work. This next 90 minutes, next 2 hours is going to define you and your legacy in your sphere of employment. We all love this story. I think we all know sort of Maddie and what she's been through in sports psychology, and the kindness wins. I'm not sure kindness won. This was cold-blooded. I mean, she stood there and went forehand to forehand. So I was thinking, we all love the story, and it's a great sort of, it's a heartstring story. But I think let's focus for a minute on the tennis. I remember that being such clean ball striking. She went, she often drew first blood. I mean, she got the first strokes in. I don't think she double faulted that entire match. And then at 5-all, she just played 2 games to seal it. And I think it's such a strange, boxing maybe notwithstanding, I can't think of too many other lines of work where it's basically like, all right, it's 5-all in the 3rd set. You've got the 2-time defending champion on the other side of the net. You played a great match, and the next 10 minutes are going to completely, potentially rewrite your entire career.
Yep.
That's a lot to confront.
Yeah. Listen, I had the benefit of having won one, but as you're walking through this, I can understand a little bit what she must have been feeling, right? I had a flirtation with winning Wimbledon for a long time. '09 I go in. I don't know if I'm going to do it again. It wasn't exactly, like it was a given that I was making slam finals every year anymore. And one of my proudest moments was like, I went in and played one of the best matches I've ever played, right? Like I didn't, he outserved me and we still had a shot. Like the ending was different, but for Maddie to go in with those expectation sets that you're talking about, and there was just, you could see the mentality. She was not going to strike out looking. She was going to take a swing, right? And props to her. I mean, this was a victory on the basis of the quality of tennis. This was a victory for a human. It was just all parts of it were why we love sports. Madison Keys, if we needed a reminder, she reminded us why we love sports.
On to number 2. It comes only 35 days after, obviously, number 1. In the Wimbledon final, Jannik Sinner defeated defending champion Carlos Alcaraz 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, ending Carlos's 24-match win streak on grass and becoming the first Italian ever to lift the Wimbledon trophy.
I probably put the Maddie just on the basis of, but the lesson that we are consistently getting to, and maybe what our listeners value seemingly, is perseverance, right? We talk about Maddie on the heels of, however many years of perseverance. We talk about Anna Samova. Maybe these are the stories we like. Maybe these are the best matches because of it. Anna Samova coming back and beating Iga, and like right on down the list. Coco dealing with certain parts of it. Jannik Sinner, and like getting over that Roland Garros final to come back and recover from, like, he was on his way out of the tournament against Dimitrov. Mm-hmm. To come into what has become Carlos's house at Wimbledon, right? 2-time defending champion going into that match, and put on that performance, clinical, head down, while trying to exercise the demons from a month earlier. I don't know that I would have this as high, and maybe that's just because it's a victim of its own shadow with what we saw at Roland Garros, which, if it's not number 1, I quit this podcast. Just so we're clear. Like if number 1 doesn't say Roland Garros, I'm quitting. This is our last show. But yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, anytime these two go against each other, especially in a major final, I honestly would have put the U.S. Open performance in there too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like Carlos, that was one of the best performances I've ever seen. Not in the top 10 because of Bencic and Swiatek at 10. I think this is the biggest part of this was an era of greatness just established over and over, and them going at it for the first time at Wimbledon. But the biggest story of this match, aside from the greatness of Jannik Sinner and the consistency of Jannik Sinner, is the professionalism with getting over that Roland Garros loss, heartbreak, and going back to work. Props. This rivalry will not happen quickly. If they are able to deal with the mental losses, the physicality, all of that, and then circle back and also be in peak form a month later again, we're going to be able to enjoy this one for a while.
Yeah, don't we love that about rivalry too? It's not just contrast, and it's not. I mean, the fact that it is swinging, that it's sort of this pendulum. So you're Jannik Sinner, and you have a 2-sets-to-love lead at Roland Garros, and you let that get away. Then you go to Wimbledon, and this guy is the defending champion, and then he wins the first set. And you're thinking, shit, I've lost 4 straight sets now. I'm still 5 weeks ago. The guy came back 2-sets-to-love, and we'll talk about what we all think is going to be number 1 in a second. But you lose that first set, and then he just says, you know what? Time to go to work. And he started serving better, and he got a couple of breaks. And again, I mean, one thing about Sinner, you look at the numbers and you say, holy shit, guy won, 83% of his first serve points. I mean, you sort of look statistics. There are not necessarily, there's no controversy. There's no flashes. I mean, it's just solid workmanlike tennis. I can't think of a single, he won those last 3 sets to win Wimbledon and take down the defending champion and take down the guy that beat him 5 weeks earlier. And I'm having a hard time like visualizing a single point. But it was just, he loses the first set and goes to work and starts dialing in his serve. And, I think what we see in that match too was Carlos's, that we talk about this a lot, Sinner is much more of the blue chip and Carlos is much more variance. And I remember Carlos had sort of some silly tactical errors, some sort of strange times to serve and volley, and Sinner just sort of got to work and turned around that first set. And what was it? I don't have a score. It was like 4-4 in the last three, which is like a typical. I mean, is there a better Jannik Sinner score line than just 4-4? There's no crazy drama. There's no super tiebreak mania. Just get my break, protect my serve, Wimbledon champion.
I'll tell you this, and this should also not be a controversial statement, even though I'm sure I'm going to get smoked for it. He is the best at his stock offering in the world. His stock offering on a day-to-day basis is so good. The ball striking, the ability to smother you, the serve is only getting better, apparently, so he's improving also. Whereas Carlos has the most options, right? When he's in full flight, it's the most entertaining because we don't know what's going to happen. That doesn't mean we should take credit away from Jannik Sinner because we know what's going to happen most days. That is a sign of greatness. I think he has the single best stock offering in the world of tennis right now.
All right, well, I think we all know what number one is. Unless
after number 10, I honestly like. I
think it's the Phoenix.
At number one, yeah, Phoenix.
Bublik Mutet, Phoenix.
Yeah, at number one, we deliver a 5-set, 5-hour, pure Parisian drama. Alcaraz and Sinner traded body blows. Alcaraz comes back from 2 sets down, surviving 3 match points and capturing the longest French Open final ever, ending Sinner's 30-match slam win streak.
I simply went on air the next week and got us into a bunch of trouble because I said tennis players are the best athletes in the world. And I felt like I was going to get the least amount of pushback ever for a moment in time because that match had been played 2 days earlier. An absolute force of mental anguish, athleticism, drama, peaking at the right time, everything you could ever want in a match, this was. And also, that's before we get to the sportsmanship. That's before we get to the humanity. That's before we get to the fact that both these guys do things the right way. You're not cheering for or against, maybe you are, but you're cheering for them together, right? They are going to make each other better. They have made each other better. We want this rivalry. I came on and said, I think this is one of the best matches I've ever seen. I didn't want to be hyperbolic. However many months later, this is one of the best matches I have ever watched with my own eyeballs.
Or to disagree with any of that. I would say, too, on the physical front. I mean, I don't. It was 5:20 or what was the time of match? I mean, it was 5.5 hours, right?
5 hours and 29 minutes.
So not only to your point about being the best athletes, the physicality of this match was obvious to anyone watching, and yet I don't recall an injury timeout. I don't recall anyone sort of limping around and having any sort of like the match was tainted a little bit because of the pulled hamstring. These guys held up. I mean, it was such a physical match, but it wasn't to the detriment of the tennis. The scoreline speaks for itself. I do think one thing about this match was that the 4th set was, Sinner had his chances, and we had a tiebreak. And then I think this was the first major final ever decided by the match tiebreak on the men's side. It was like, wasn't it like 10-2?
The match tiebreak. The match tiebreak and what Carlos did in that match tiebreak was some of the most insane shit I've ever seen. It was like he was playing Xbox. It was like you mastered Xbox.
But at least, but what if the stakes were high? If the stakes were high, it might have been different.
You know what else? And this is rightfully this way. How many people did you say, oh, you know what? Normally if someone blows that lead, guess what? I've blown that lead. Not quite to that extent, but like that person choked without even understanding. No one says that because the quality of tennis was so high. Like it's not as if this guy, maybe he misses one backhand or something, but like it wasn't as if like, oh shit, he's letting this go and then Carlos was able to turn it. He had to turn into Superman. He had to go into the phone booth. Right? Imagine 2 sets, 5-3, and people say, oh, he lost that tough one. Can you believe it got away from... Fine. But it wasn't because of anything he really did tennis-wise. Does he want a shot back? Sure. Is it because he fell to pieces? No. Absolutely not. And I can't think of another match that kind of got turned in that dramatic of a fashion that actually doesn't have that narrative over time. JW, any nominees there?
I love that point. I reflexively, it's in mind to go to the 2008 Wimbledon final, but it was very similar in the sense too that I feel like as fans, you take your cues from athletes, And there was never a sense that Sinner was saying, oh, fuck, I had the French Open, I had Roland Garros on my racket and I choked. He was locked in. He was completely, you got the feeling he was, it was intense. It was stressful. He was enjoying the battle of it all. You can't not emote with Alcaraz. I mean, again, he won the fourth set. He won, is this right? 17. He won 17 out of 22 points in the fourth and then fifth set tie breaks. So this was clutch tennis, but it was also crazy winners as well. And I think watching the athletes, we as media and fans understood the extraordinarily high level and the fact that these were just two guys giving it their best. And this wasn't some great emotional passion play and drama that was going to wreck them. They were enjoying the competition. We did as well. We talked the other day about how you had this crazy stat where they've played whatever it is, 3,300 points, and they have the exact same number of points. You watch a match like this and you're like, okay, now I get how that could happen. This was great theater. I take the fact that the losing player on that day won the next major 5 weeks later, I think gives it this sort of, that only adds to the heft in a weird way. I love this match. I think the drama was high, but the quality may have been higher.
It was absurd. Like, even you let third set go, like, you still felt like Sinner was in the driver's seat in the fourth set. Like, was knocking on the door. And also, there's something about when, like, Alcaraz, I'll say, I use this story and it's only to prove a point, right? Like, Roger was great. Everyone knows our history. I remember playing him in Madison Square Garden in an EXO. He was coming from Dubai. It was my last year on tour. I wasn't playing that great. Like, I was a bit of a dumpster fire. I somehow win the first set. Roger and I are friends, right? We always had a great relationship. I'm on this card because he decided to play Madison Square Garden and probably threw me a bone, right? Like, that's why I'm on this thing. And I remember he fought off like 4 or 5 match points in this Madison Square Garden exhibition. I eventually win, but I'm going, this motherfucker. Like, he has all the gifts in the world, and he's also in survival mode for an EXO that doesn't, like, newsflash, we don't get paid extra if we win EXOs, right? Yeah. I'm going, it was like that. I walked off and I'm like, it's just like, it's absurd the way that, and my point is to see someone who normally doesn't have to go into survival mode, seeing them go into survival mode and adapt and do it like an Alcaraz, that's another element of the myth of Alcaraz and the myth of Sinner, is like them being uncomfortable, going into a Wimbledon final on a surface that's not native yet and beating Alcaraz. Alcaraz being in survival mode until, this magic of a fifth set breaker. Those are all the moving parts that make these matches phenomenal and the greats who they are. Can I give you a couple honorable mentions?
Yeah, please.
Oh, what do you got?
Lerner, Tien, and Medvedev in Australia.
Oh,
I do like a little early week drama and a little upset special. Good. 130 coming in, and Medvedev obviously didn't play that well after that, but has been one of the best players in the world for a decade plus. Seeing that go, the physical toll, all of that. Can a young player keep it together? That's one. I thought that was a great match. Iga Rybakina, 4th round of Roland Garros. We forget about it because no one won. That was a phenomenal match. I thought at that moment, I go, oh, this is what switches Iga's year. I think she's going to win Roland Garros after that. I was wrong. Fantastic match. Sabalenka-Pegula, U.S. Open semifinal, was a great match. It was fantastic. And one more that I like for weird reasons. Alcaraz, 1st round of Wimbledon, Fabio Fognini.
Oh, wow.
Takes him to...
I forgot about that match.
Takes him to 5 sets. Like, literally, Fognini had job applications out for like 3 weeks after this. To take a guy who, obviously the sunset is there because he said, this is my last tournament, and then finding a little bit of magic, getting that little bit of talent. And Alcaraz obviously didn't play great. Like, if they, all things the same, they both play great, that's probably a straight set match. But that is the drama of tennis that I love. And we talk about Alcaraz in survival mode again, like getting through those matches. And then by the time the finals comes, we talk as if he didn't struggle at all that tournament. He struggled a lot during that tournament. I couldn't take my eyes off of that one. Not the greatest quality match we'll see, but like, can the guy do it one more time? I love those storylines. Those are my honorable mentions.
Ooh, those are good. I can't now. Man, you're catching me off guard. I'm in Taylor Townsend Krejcikova at the U.S. Open. Remember that?
That was a great match.
That's a great one.
That was a great match. Krejcikova pulling through, staving off all those match points. Taylor had a great tournament, great doubles players. I gotta say, I'm surprised the U.S. Open final didn't make the list.
Yeah,
between Carlos and I remember. Again, it's sort of the exact reverse of Roland Garros, where you're wondering Alcaraz comes here and then Sinner, they wins that. They're a set apiece, and you wonder Alcaraz thinking like, oh man, this guy's got my number, and then Alcaraz is the one that turns it on. That match, unlike Roland Garros, I think Alcaraz won like 20 more points. Like he started serving better. Like,
that was the best tournament I've ever seen Carlos play, by the way. And Sinner is the best on hard courts for the last however many years. I think it's great for the rivalry that he goes and takes his lunch at Wimbledon, then he reverses it on the other side. Like, I think this is fantastic. I don't know that we could have chosen the elements of this rivalry for 2025 and had them go any better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was fantastic start to finish. The unfortunately, but the drama of the 3 months and then still going after the number one ranking. Like, there are so many storylines where you don't know what to say because what you're watching is so impossible to value. Like, props to these guys. Another great year in tennis. It's our pleasure to watch these matches. I am endlessly entertained by a million different parts of every match, but it starts with the players. It starts with putting it on the line, the person in the arena, taking shots. Like, this is what it is. I think sports is the best reality show on earth, and I am, in my very biased opinion, I think tennis players are the best athletes in the world, and they did not disappoint in 2025. Techie Sean, JW, producer Mike and his triangulation. Way to go. Yeah, best triangulator of 2025. Thanks for watching Served. We'll see you next week. AI is only as powerful as the platform it's built on. With the ServiceNow AI platform, your AI, data, and workflows all work together, connecting every corner of your business. To see how you can put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com/AI-agents.